Hello, everybody. I'm not on. Oh, there. Oh, yes, I am. Hi. Welcome to the Talbot County Board of Education regular meeting. It is June 11th, 2025, and we are here at TCEC. And on June 11th, 2025, the regular board meeting in the Talbot County Public Schools will open at 5 p.m. for the purposes of declaring a quorum and will then move into closed session as permitted by the Maryland Open Meetings Act, Section 3-305B, Provisions 1, 7, and 8 of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Section 3-103 of the General Provisions Articles of the Annotated Code of Maryland for the following reasons. Citation 3-305B, Provision 1, regarding personnel reporting, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matters that affects one or more specific individuals. Citation 3-305B, Provisions 7 and 8 regarding legal matters, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on the following legal matters, and 8, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation, which includes the following: a social media lawsuit regarding litigation on behalf of school districts against Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube, a lawsuit regarding an alleged injury to a student, an OCR case regarding special education services. Do you want me to start back at the beginning of the citation? I am. Okay. Yes. Citation 3-305B, Provisions 7 and 8 regarding legal matters. 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on the following legal matters, which are coming up. And 8, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation, which includes the following. We good? A social media lawsuit regarding litigation on behalf of school districts against Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube. A lawsuit regarding an alleged injury to a student. Injury. An OCR case regarding special education services. A student case regarding the alleged failure of TCPS to provide a free, appropriate public education. A student case involving school/residential placement. Should I add anything? Still coming. In addition to all of those listed, we will also hear about allegations regarding the crime against individuals, about the Child Victims Act. And citation 3-305B, Provisions 9 regarding negotiations, to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters related to negotiations. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we will move into close and then come back on time for open session. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be great. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve our regular board meeting minutes from May 21st, 2025?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Minutes, I'm sorry. Of May 21st.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to start tonight with recognition of the public with our Carson Scholars.
So good evening, everyone. What you see here on the slide are students that we are going to recognize for the Carson Scholars. So each year, the Carson Scholars honors an elite group of students from grades 4 to 11 who do not only demonstrate exceptional academic achievements, maintaining at least a 3.75 GPA, but also embody significant humanitarian qualities. This year, one student from Talbot County received the prestigious honor of being named a Carson Scholar, and that is Reagan Pritchett. And we're going to call her up. She's here. Oh, she is. Congratulations, Reagan. And then we're going to have them all come up for a picture at the end. But then we also have 4 students who renewed their status as Carson Scholars. And so I will call them up one at a time. Tessa Diffendaffer. Congratulations. Jose Garcia Arrivalaga. Cadence McGuckin. And Kylie Sadler. And they renewed theirs. So we're going to have all of them come up for a joint picture with your certificates, please.
Behind the board or in front?
I'll wait for instructions.
Close enough to me that the light doesn't hit your face from the projector up there. Yeah. See, you guys are a little tall. Just 2 steps towards me. Yeah, perfect.
Can I say it from here? What's next?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I have to-
Nope.
Okay, I'm going to try this from here. Next up, we have our Easton High School Regional Tennis Champions, and some big congratulations. So I will hand it over to Dr. Pepikai.
All right, so we are going to call up the coaches. I'm not sure if many of the players are here looking at in the audience. They're probably enjoying their time, but I am going to call their names and what they are getting awarded for. So I'm going to call Coach Aaron up, Hutt, who is the Eastern Warriors tennis team coach. And then Jake Hershey, men's singles 2A East Region 12 regional champion. Parker Jimenez, mixed doubles champion 2A East Region 12. And Clay Nagel, mixed doubles champion 2A East Region 12. Congratulations. Yes. All right. Ready? Yep.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Okay, and next up is congratulations to our St. Michael's High School state and regional tennis champs.
All right, so I would like to call up Is Coach Jordan Miller here? Coach Jordan Miller? He heard himself playing tennis. Oh, no. Well, best wishes for Peter. And the assistant coach, Casey Capute, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. St. Michael's tennis team For 1A East Region 1 Team Regional Champions, assistant coach. And then members of the team, you could see pictures there. Sebastian Cornish, the 1A East Region 1 Team Regional Champ. Miles Fox, same. And Miles Fox also men's doubles 1A East Region 1. Molly Genrich, St. Michael's Team Regional Champion. Sean Klein, same, 1 East Region 1 Regional Champion. Sean Klein was on men's doubles, 1 East Region. Bryn Lazuski also was on the team. Alexandra Rockwell was on the team, and she also was the state champion for mixed doubles. So congratulations for that. And I think is that the first, like, for state champions for St. Michael's?
In a while, I don't know if it's the first.
Okay, I thought that. Tess Weller, women's single, 1A East Region 1. Tess Weller here, 1A East Region Team 1. Tom Weller here, I think is that, make sure that's not duplication. And Tom Weller was the state champion for mixed doubles. So congratulations to all of those students. And thank you to the coaches and Ms. Hoffman, athletic director, for organizing, scheduling all of those events.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Is there more?
Let's see. There we go.
Next up is public comment, and I just need my folder back. Okay, next up is public comment. We do have somebody signed up to speak tonight, which is fantastic. It's wonderful to hear from our public. So I have to read this little spiel, and then you can head up to the podium. So, in order to maintain an orderly presentation of comments by the public, the following guidelines will apply. Comments are limited to 3 minutes or less and are to be directed to board members from the podium. When the allotted time expires, the speaker will be permitted to complete their sentence, then return to the audience. If unable to complete comments in the allotted time, individuals are asked to submit remarks to the board in writing. Signs or posters may not be displayed at board meetings. Handouts may be left for board members at the podium. Public statements made at a board meeting should relate to agenda items for the current meeting, a recent or future meeting, or a matter of general policy over which the board has authority. Personnel matters, matters relating to individual students, pending appeals, the actions or statements of individual staff members, or items related to employee negotiations are not appropriate topics for citizen participation. Board members will not answer questions during citizen participation. Questions should be submitted in writing to the board. Responses will be provided in a timely manner. The board and/or superintendent reserves the right to correct misinformation presented during citizen participation. The board reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on a particular topic so that multiple topics may be addressed. The audience is asked to be respectful of public speakers and board members. Failure to comply may necessitate removal from the public meeting. Thank you for respecting these guidelines. Do you still want to talk? Okay, you may head to the podium. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Barb Jefferson, and that's my dog Jovi. She's a special needs therapy dog, member of Alliance of Therapy Dogs and Crisis Response Canines. I have been visiting Easton Talbot County schools with my therapy dogs, all Rottweilers, since 2011. We have over 2,000 visits. The reason I'm speaking here today is there was a moratorium for 18 months. No dogs were allowed in school, none of the therapy dogs. And many years ago, there used to be a dozen teams. With Pets on Wheels, Nancy Henry was the president. After the board, I guess, got together, it was an 18-month moratorium for therapy dogs, and I kept pushing and pushing, and I finally got in. But the policy changes have made it almost impossible to get therapy dog teams back in school. And also, the difference that a therapy dog makes with these children is so powerful. The school psychologist, Dr. Sean, asked me after we were finished for this year, he said, would I visit students that he sees in his office? That Jovi's made a huge difference with the students in school. What I'm looking for are policy changes that would allow us to visit many more children. It's very limited. Also, maybe children are not allowed to hand out treats. I think that's part of it, that they should be able to hug the dog, give a treat. The connection, and what happens is the children will speak, they trust the dog, they'll talk to the dog. And we've had so many miracles with children. And I've worked with many, many of the special needs therapy teachers. And the other thing, which I've brought up before, but now that I am self-employed, I was looking for a little bit of compensation for the hours that we come to school, only because I don't want to not be at school for the children. And I'm not, Debbie Gardner, I don't know if she's here. She's here. There she is, oh my God. So I've been talking to Debbie about maybe a possibility of a grant, some subsidies. But, and Jovi's 7, so she's aging out, and I have a young dog that I'm in the process of training to become a therapy dog. Time up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the list is board committee reports, and I see one, so let me know if there are others after this first one. Mrs. Strawberry, do you have a report for us this month?
Yes, I do. So you will see the report that was submitted to you into your agenda there. But basically, the Educational Equity Committee met again on June the 5th. And when we met, it was really just to get an opportunity to talk about what's next after the AR and the policy was highlighted and approved on last meeting. And we really want to make sure that we're continuing to convene. And we're going to continue to convene if that's okay with the board. So that way we can ensure that the educational policy is implemented, and we are a resource for our school communities that may need us to be champions or to really highlight what their barriers or challenges may be. So one of the immediate next steps that we were talking about is to look at the AR and have a document where we could look at, okay, so who's doing this? Where can we find this information? So we can make sure everything is being done and it's completed. And we just don't have a policy just to be there, but we can really be a resource.
Do we need anything to continue the committee, or would we have to vote to disband it, or do we have to vote to continue, or were we just good to go? Okay. Thank you very much for your report. And I look forward to more reports from this committee, which will continue. Does anybody else have a committee report for this month?
So our policy committee, we didn't meet in June, but the committee agreed to meet throughout the summer. So our next meeting will be July 2nd, and we're still going through updating many policies we have.
I want to add, I don't have a committee report, but I'm so thankful for those who are involved in our committees. We are growing the committee process, and more community members are getting involved and are excited to be on these committees and engaging more in our school system. So thank you to everybody who is a part of that, everybody on the board and everybody in the community. I'm really excited to see this growing and becoming more of a resource for us. So thank you very much for doing that. Next up, we have new business and the ratification of our negotiated agreement with Dr. Horsey and our TCEA reps, who I can see in the audience.
Good evening, President Jackson, Dr. Papakaye, and members of the board. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our TCPS negotiation team as well as the TCAA negotiation team. This work required a lot of dedication, commitment, and we are really thankful for the collaboration that we've established during this work. I want to thank our county council, all of our TCPS staff, our Board of Education, and all of our leadership for leading us through this effort. This commitment and agreement not only represents financial increases, but it represents the opportunity for us to continue to transform and perform and lead the work here in Talbot County Public Schools under the direction of our superintendent. And we just, again, want to thank you. We want to thank everyone who participated, and we just appreciate the collaboration that we will continue to have. At this time, I would like to call President Jackson up and Dr. Papakaye. Yep, I brought some blue pens. So I have 2 copies, so yep, some blue pens. Andy brought pens too.
That's a gift. Yeah, one for the board president.
This is blue. Is it blue or is it white?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it doesn't matter.
Switch.
Trade.
Really appreciate getting this done before the end of the year. It's a huge boost for the staff.
Kudos to you. Kudos to Dr. Horsey. Thank you very much, you guys.
Great, thanks, boss.
This is, yes. Oh, yeah, this is right.
I'm going to date it too.
Curry,
You can,
Where's the
that's
date?
for,
It's the 11th.
yes.
Sorry, I'm a lefty.
you too.
Seriously? Oh, you're lefties?
That's why we're brilliant.
Thanks. And that is, well, that's for Cindy Carney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's right. And that's you right here.
So that one's all done.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm lefties.
And right there. And then you'll watch me sign. Yeah, the second from the left. Thanks, appreciate you. Okay, and Dr. Horsey, yours, oh, I missed one. Correct, yeah. Thanks. Mrs. Curry. Let's all do this in about 2 years. We got a 2-year. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thanks so much.
It's a nice pen.
It is a nice pen.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
As they head out, I just want to say thank you to the entire negotiation team, including our side and the union side. It was a very productive, great negotiation with a bunch of new people and new faces in the process. So thank you to everybody. It's a big lift. Very happy to have that done. And we will move along to an update. Where are we? A blueprint summary. Ooh. For school year 24-25 with Mrs. Tillman, our implementation coordinator.
Good evening, President Jackson and members of the board. I come before you tonight just to provide an update on some of the blueprint programs and just highlights from this year. As you know, we're in what's considered phase 2 for blueprint implementation. When this bill was first enacted, when the blueprint was enacted, it was supposed to be phased in over a 10-year period. The pandemic kind of had some delays with that, but we are still considered in phase 2. So I wanted to kind of just show some highlights. The blueprint's really interwoven in a lot of the work that we do each day, but I wanted to highlight some pictures and kind of talk through some of the impacts that the blueprint has had on TCPS students and staff and some of the programs we've been able to offer because of it. So first I'll kind of go through and start with our blueprint implementation plan. So last May 1st, actually, of last year, we submitted a blueprint implementation plan. This was our second blueprint implementation plan that we submitted, and that was submitted to the AIB and approved in December of 2024. We do not have to create and submit another plan. This spans actually over 3 years, 2024 to 2027. So we will still have some progress monitoring, so I'll get to that in a few minutes, but we don't have to submit another plan. So we've met all of our deliverables that we needed to get that approved, and we are currently on track to also complete all the deliverables before July 1. So if you remember, we celebrated our National Board Certified Teachers this year at an earlier board meeting. So if you recall, the blueprint really highlights National Board Certification as that credential that really qualifies, or just one credential to qualify a teacher as high quality. So that lives in Pillar 2 under your high quality, diverse teachers and leaders. So we still have, we have more teachers that earn that certification this year, and we still have quite a few teachers that are still pursuing. So Easton Elementary, kind of hop into that corner. Easton Elementary is in their third year as a community school. Ms. Fox came in earlier this year, and I know she presented more in depth about where they are in their implementation plan efforts and some of their goals. But I just wanted to kind of show this picture. They held a community resource fair last month, great turnout. And I know that I've come up here before, and I feel like I always praise the work of community schools, but I just want to publicly again acknowledge Ms. Fox, the Easton Elementary School staff, local organizations that have really just stepped up with the community school programming and just provided what our students need inside and outside of the school day. So it's really great to see. So I wanted to kind of highlight that there. We also have another community school. Easton Middle School was our community school this year. So they're in year one. So the focus for this year was really just surveying the needs of students and families and the community of Easton Middle School. But by nature, the community school facilitators work pretty regularly with the school staff. So one example that I wanted to highlight was the community school facilitator and the career counselor actually worked together to bring a program to girls after school. It's called Girls Who Build. So during that after school program, it went on for about 5 weeks. The girls were able to kind of learn about building, designing, safety in the world of construction. So we had a lot of local businesses donate both materials and their time to help with this, which is really great to see. So we're hoping to expand that beyond Easton Middle School next year, so stay tuned for that. Bouncing over, kind of sticking in the realm of career and technical education, we had our students pictured here. They earned their ASE Brakes certification in the automotive technology course. We had lots of students earn industry recognized credentials. If you remember, the goal through the blueprint is that at least 45% of our graduates in Maryland leave high school with obtaining at least one industry recognized credential or completing a registered apprenticeship. So we have plenty of students that are working towards that. We actually had many career clusters outside of automotive technology that students earned industry recognized credentials in. Right now, 60. We have 60 industry recognized credentials that were earned this year. Still counting, we're still waiting some scores, but that's truly awesome to see because these students can take these certifications into whatever avenue they choose next when they pursue their career. And lastly, in the top right, that's a picture from our Judy Center ribbon cutting. It was such a lovely day. We had lots of support come out. That's our new Judy Center at Tillman Elementary. So the kids safely, I will say, helped with that ribbon cutting, I promise. But it's so great to see all the hard work behind the scenes. We have such a small but mighty early childhood team, and they've worked so hard to make sure that we've secured grants for this, still maintaining and monitoring grants to ensure that our Judy centers that we've already had in place still can get that funding. All the supplies and the orders and the prep, and then all the staff to just smile and welcome all the families when they enter. So it's great to be able to serve Tillman Elementary School in that way. Through the Blueprint, there's actually an initiative to grow or increase the number of Judy centers throughout the state of Maryland. So this initiative is slated to continue, so we will continue to pursue grants in order to expand this to our other communities. Something else that just want to highlight for this year, so in addition to some of the resources on our website, we've also added the TCPS Blueprint Buzz, which is an electronic newsletter, just to update families about what's going on in the world of Blueprint, whether that be locally in TCPS or also statewide. There's actually a spring update, should be coming out this week, so take a look at that. But just another opportunity to educate and be able to also spotlight some of the work going on behind the scenes, because sometimes we don't realize all the programs that really kind of came from Blueprint, because there were a lot of things that we already had in place, but now we can do in a different way because of Blueprint funding. So keeping up with the website and ensuring that everyone has the most accurate information through the newsletter. So looking ahead to FY26, just highlighting again, we're continuing a lot of the current progress that we're doing, but just highlighting some things that might be kind of new on the radar. I'm happy to be able to share that we have partnered with Critchlow Atkins Child Care Centers. We have previously use pre-K expansion money in order to initialize our universal pre-K program. So we offer that. That's an initiative in the Blueprint that calls out that we really need to give high quality pre-kindergarten education to our students, especially those that are considered low income and different tier eligible. So as Mr. Schaefer kind of mentioned on Monday, we're continuing to monitor pre-K expansion and mixed delivery, but Critchlow Atkins has submitted an application in order to expand current slots that they already have in their pre-K center and convert them to what would be considered Blueprint funded slots. So those are for tier 1 or income eligible students. What that would do if they received the funding through that grant would be able to offer full day programming for 3 or 4 year old students at no cost to the families, as long as they're income eligible. So staying tuned there and seeing if they are awarded that. Pillar 2, there's a focus in the Blueprint for the state to be developing professional learning that is aligned to some of the professional learning that is expected of teachers as they engage in some leadership roles. So the state has adopted learning forward standards for professional learning. So as a Blueprint accountability, we just have to ensure that we're aligning our professional learning with the professional learning standards that the state has adopted. Pillar 3, we have previously presented, last June, presented our comprehensive literacy plans. We have a comprehensive math plan that we will be submitting a draft for in the fall. We will continue with our career counseling program. We were able to expand that to all 3 secondary schools this year, so we will be continuing that. And the state has also released career and technology education course frameworks. They are looking to revise some of their courses and their course sequences. So Dr. Burkhart and her CTE teachers are currently reviewing some of that, giving some feedback, and seeing where maybe some curriculum might need to be adjusted for those courses. Pillar 4, really focusing on our new community schools that are, will be joining the community school club next year, Easton High School, White Marsh Elementary School, and Tillman Elementary School. And then progress monitoring, so as I shared, we don't have to submit a full plan, because again, our plan that was approved spans through 2024 to 2027. But the AIB has shared that they will be doing some progress monitoring conferences with each district. So that's all I'm able to share until we get some more information on what that looks like. But that will be our progress monitoring in lieu of the plan this year. And then again, continuing to align resources to meet the minimum school funding requirements. And just want to give a shout out to Ms. Jones and her finance team for really working hard behind the scenes to make sure everything is tied to Blueprint categories. It's a little bit different way of thinking, and they have done a really good job in ensuring that our budget reflects both our priorities and also what's reflected in the Blueprint. So just kudos there. And that's all that I have for tonight, but I welcome any questions anyone has.
I just want to say thank you for all your hard work with the Blueprint and providing us all this information. And we'll miss you in that role, but we look forward to seeing you as vice principal.
Thank you.
CTE is very near and dear to my heart, so I'll be very interested to hear what some of those changes are.
Yeah, they're actually out for public comment. So there is a period where on MSDE's website, you can go and review those course frameworks and provide public comment. I believe that it's been extended, but I'd have to get back to you on the date that that closes.
I have kind of a general question, which answer the best that you can. Blueprint has been vilified, I would say, in the discourse kind of around in the county and in the state. A lot of finger pointing and saying, you know, it's terrible and undoing a lot of important education things. I think that in our district, you probably have the best viewpoint as to the intention of Blueprint and where we are and what it is doing here in Talbot County. And while we talk a lot often, whenever we talk about Blueprint, about these details and the specifics, can you talk to sort of a higher level? What do you see has been the impact of Blueprint thus far in Talbot County, and where are we holistically going with this? Is it having an impact? Is it having the intended impact? It just sort of, you could talk about it from a general sense, that would be great.
Yeah, what I would say is that with change comes some impact in good ways and not. There's a lot of things pre-Blueprint that were aligned to Blueprint before it was actually written and enacted as a bill that we had, that we were doing for students. What I would say is that the Blueprint kind of challenges us to think differently on what we were doing before, and that can have an impact on some of the timing or some of the ways that we budget or how we plan for programming. So we have to maybe prioritize a little bit differently with those goals in mind. But ultimately, the Blueprint really seeks to both elevate the profession of teachers, which we know that they have a very hard job and deserve some ways of getting compensated and having a role in I guess, in leadership beyond just the classroom. And I would say that it really elevates, and I'll continue to go back to the community school. That program, if you watched any of legislative session, had a huge outcry when there was talks of potentially freezing that funding and how important that has been across the state, and that has continued to be elevated. And I think that kind of standing together, superintendents and community organizations really showing up and giving evidence of how it's really been impactful for kids is evidence that it's working, but there are some challenges still with ensuring that it's implemented in the time given.
Thank you. I know that was a big, out of left field question, so I appreciate it. Yeah. Any more questions for Mrs. Tillman? Okay, thank you so much. And yes, we look forward to seeing you as a AP at Easton High School.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our list is, I believe it's our consent agenda items. Yes.
Yep, so At this time, you could say it's respectfully requested that the board enter a collective vote on the consent agenda items that were presented this past Monday. You could see them listed there, and the explanations of those can be found in the May 19th meeting minutes. So these are all of the things that were discussed on Monday. June 9th, sorry.
There is a small typo on ours. It says, I don't know if there's another one. On ours, under item D, it says approval of special staffing plan. And I think it's supposed to say the special education staffing plan. I don't know if we need to
Yeah.
do anything other than just correct it. Okay. So if I make a motion, do I need to say as amended because we are correcting typos? Okay. I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as amended that were presented during the work session on Monday, June 9th.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have,
Yep, so this is coming up just at, it's the AR. What came up last time was a recommendation to have some things from the AR brought into the policy, and so we did seek legal counsel on just making sure what should be in the policy, which we could see here, and I know Ms. Spurrier had presented on this, but this is just for you to see that we did leave the policy as it is and kept all of the different practices in the AR. So that's just for informational purposes there. We have that.
I would request maybe some information or a discussion around the specific point in the AR. In reading through it, it makes a lot of sense, other than the requirement that a therapy dog, not a service animal, be segregated in its own room and children brought to the dog one-on-one versus bringing a dog into a classroom. So I would love to hear some information about why that's important in the AR and what the thinking was behind including that specific piece.
Okay.
It may not be this evening. You can come back to us another time.
To piggyback on that, I think it would be an opportunity for more children to be involved, and obviously we would still have the parental permission slip in place, but why not give the parents that option?
So we'll look at that AR, which is, which we have a separate, the therapy dog, separate under, but it's still under the policy of service animals.
Any questions for Dr. P on policy 5.17 and the changes that were not made? Okay. Moving on, we have, wait, we skipped something. No, we didn't. Our strategic plan update with Dr. Papakayee.
So on June 2nd, you could see we had a feedback and review session with all of the work groups that we brought on. And so I want to go over this here at the board meeting of what was gone through that evening. And we have since received a lot of feedback from the work group members of where we are at this point with the strategic plan. This is a visual of the framework showing that, you know, your vision, mission, core principles are all at the top. And the theory of action is really what takes place with the plan. You have goals, priorities, indicators, and then the strategies that are being done. And then it's monitoring that's going to take place with you, the school board, as well as with our district and school leaders that we'll continually be doing. Here is the vision and the mission. Just want to call out a few words. Valued, celebrated, empowered is what we want to provide here in the district. And then our mission, college, career, and life. Our core principles, and so this is what we do and the strategies will be the foundation of the work that we'll be doing. Student-centered focus, high-quality teaching and learning, a safe and engaging learning environment, being a high-performing district, and always be engaging in continuous improvement. Overarching goal here, and this is the profile of the graduate list that we have, academic preparedness, and we got into some discussion, I believe it was a work session previously, around our profile. And we said, what are the qualities that we would like our students to have when they graduate? We want them to be academically prepared. We want them to have global citizenship, and this is still a work in progress because we want to define what these are. Inclusivity, be a lifelong learner, and be adaptable. So adaptability is one of them. So again, this is that we still want to define this so that people will know exactly what we mean when we list these items. So part of the plan, we have priorities, which are the main focus. We have the objectives, which are the outcomes, the indicators, which we will be measuring them by, and then the strategies, which are going to be the actions that'll be taken. This isn't just a one-year thing, this is a 4-year plan. So this will be constantly being worked through for the next 4 years. Here were the questions that we asked anyone that looked at this to think about when they were giving feedback. Do these indicators, are they meaningful measurements? Do they allow us to collect helpful data? Is there anything that's missing? If we implement these over the next 4 years, will we meet the objectives? And then are there any strategies missing that you would like to include? And so we had about a little over 30 people that were on that Zoom that went through this and have given us feedback on this. Here are the 5 priorities: academic achievement, high-quality staff, student, family, community engagement, aligned systems for success, and increased resources and efficiency. And so each one is laid out like this. You have the objective for this one is our academic achievement all around our math and our ELA, our interventions that are taking place. We have the indicators, which are all the ways that we're going to measure to see if we're moving the needle under this priority. And then the strategies are listed underneath. So and what we'll do when we get into the monitoring plan or the monitoring process, we will put together the graphic or the mechanism that's going to measure these things. So that's the step that we have to put in so that it'll almost be like a scorecard or some kind of rubric for us to help measure whether or not we're meeting these indicators. This is under highly qualified staff. You could see again our objective, the indicators of how we're measuring it, and then the 5 strategies underneath. 3, student, family, community engagement. And again, for all of these, there was a work group that included staff from TCPS, community members, we had county council members that were part of these groups that came up with all of this. 4, aligned systems for success, again, objective, indicators, and our strategies. And our last one, increase revenues and efficiency with our objective, indicators, and our strategies. There is and you can listen to this presentation as well. We sent it out to all of the work groups. I believe board members, you have that as well. So you have the link for any feedback that you would also like to give us. So we're going to take that feedback, look at it, and apply things that we can. I've seen some really good feedback, actually, that some people from the outside usually can look at and give us some idea. And then again, next steps will be a profile of a graduate to define. Any questions?
I don't have a question. I would just like to say that having been through or involved in 2 different strategic plans, this is the 3rd one that I have seen. This is the most robust plan that actually is a plan, that has indicators, that has ways to measure outcome, that doesn't just have a pie-in-the-sky set of goals. It has an actual step-by-step way that we're going to get there. And I am so impressed with the work that was done and all of the community lean in and everybody who contributed to this, because to me, this shows how we're going to get there, how we're going to dramatically shift to become the best. It's right here. The plan is laid out. And I am so just pumped about seeing this come to fruition. So thank you so much for leading this work, and thank you very much to everybody who was involved in this. I'm just blown away by how effective this will be for us.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Sorry, I didn't mean to stomp all over you guys.
I have a question. Is there any way we can get a dashboard set up so that we can track?
So that's exactly what I was talking about. We're going to create something like that so we can track, because it'll be easier and to phase out in the 4 years. What do we think we can do in year 1, 2, 3, or 4? But that's exactly what we're talking about. Yep.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Dr. P. Next, it's everybody's favorite budget, FY26 budget adoption, which is the word we like to hear with
Yay!
Mrs. Jones.
Nobody's more excited about this than me, let me tell you. So we find ourselves on June 11th, and notice the board is going to approve the FY26 budget tonight. So that is my mission, and we will measure that at the end of the meeting if you do it. Okay, I'm going to briefly go through a few of the same slides that we saw Monday night, but I'm going to whiz through those because there are a few changes. So nothing new has happened with state revenue. We are going with our best estimate on state revenues, no official guidance or final numbers. Excuse me. We talked about this the other night, the fact that we need to adjust the budget request from February that you passed by negatively by 260. That says million, and it really should say $1,000. So I apologize. That's well, no, it's 0.26 million. So 260,000, yes, to reflect a change in legislation that's going to impact our revenue next year around non-public tuition reimbursement. Our local appropriation came in from Talbot County. We need to trim, based on that appropriation, $5,072,000. In that appropriation, the county did fund in addition to the chapel renovation, they did offer 200, and the cost that we submitted for the stadium lights at St. Michael's Middle High of $260,000 and change. Talbot County pays some other things on our behalf directly that do not flow through our budget, such as debt service being the most significant of those costs. Use of fund balance, based on our conversation Monday night, there are a few new items on this. We talked about using the $300,000 of fund balance to cover the additional price from when we originally got our estimate for the Easton High School auditorium lights. And so the board wanted to put that in our capital budget, as well as here use fund balance to pay for that. Easton Elementary Activity Court was originally in the COVID funding bucket grant, and that is not currently an option, so the board directed me to put in some additional money and use fund balance to pay for that court. I put in a conservative $175,000, which is significantly more than was originally in the COVID grant. However, we were kind of basing that on the second lowest bid when we did put this out to bid last year. Mr. Schaefer has made a little bit of progress today with the original vendor who won that contract, and maybe we'll be able to do it for a more affordable price. But we're going to leave it in at, I would recommend we leave it in at this higher price so that we have room if we need it, and hopefully we will not need it. Does that make sense?
It does. Can I pause you right there? Because
Yes.
this is a question for Mr. Schaefer. My eyes are bugging out of my head at $175,000 for a basketball court. Can you explain why that is so costly? And I understand that it may come in less than that, which would be absolutely fantastic, but that just seems like a very large sum.
Yes, as Ms. Jones said, it's a very conservative number. And the reason for that is, as I shared with the board earlier, we have canceled the contract because we were beyond the contract term dates because of the cancellation of the ESSER funding. So we have the second bidder, which we have no contract right now. So I'm working with the first, the lowest bidder to reestablish that. But this would allow for us to reach out to the second bidder, which was significantly higher than the first, just in case we have to go that route.
Can you just, expand on what, I don't lay pavement for a living? I don't know what goes into making a basketball court where there is none, but to me, 107, what needs to be done that costs that much money?
So the scope of work is a little more significant than just putting down some blacktop for a basketball court. So number one, the court is over the geothermal wells at Easton Elementary School, so there is some precautions that have to be taken in order to protect the wells that will be underneath. So there's also the only path, the safest and shortest path for those wells is through the current dumpster area. So they have to remove the dumpster enclosure, move the dumpsters, mat a path to where they're going to actually lay the blacktop, do some surface work, and then they have to, obviously lay the blacktop, sub-base blacktop, because it's just a grass area right now, and that includes fencing and that kind of thing. So then they have to then remove the matting and everything to get out, and then reinstall the dumpster area. So it's a pretty significant scope of work.
As we are doing this, I'm wondering if we have looked at similar issues at Chapel, and if we could get ahead of any problems. Are we putting anything on top of the geothermal well at Chapel? Are we doing any, are there any additions that could be added that we could be looking at this kind of expense?
Chapel actually was much easier to lay out. Geographically, there's a lot more space. And the geothermal wells are nowhere near the basketball court that's already in the project. So that will be part of the installation of the playground area.
Assuming, I know we talked on Monday night about the grants may or may not come open again. If they do come open again, are we able to submit this as part of that?
This is an approved project under that grant. So I have my weekly meeting tomorrow with the CFOs across the state. MSDE and AIB join us every other week. I believe tomorrow is their day. I have forwarded the summary that I gave you Monday night to the people that run the meeting, and I said I'd like this on the agenda. I'd like to hear from MSDE. That they will not give me an answer tomorrow, but at least we can raise the question. When are we going to hear about this funding? When are they going to open the window again?
I know that typically school grounds are not to be trespassed after certain hours. Is this something that's going to still be tempting?
So short answer, yes. It is a neighborhood school, and it will not be completely off limits, but it will be fenced in. So it's going to be a little more work to come in and use the space than it has been in the past. I don't know if anybody remembers the former Moten and Dobson building, but the Dobson building had an open court that was available to the public, and it did become problematic at times.
I remember.
Yeah. So we're going to try to avoid that through fencing.
Also, on Monday night, the board directed me to put in funding for the TCPS Staff Health Center. So I've done that, and that would be a use of $280,000 from fund balance. That would be after we use available $300,000 grant from MABE and $250,000 of reserves from the ESMIC Health Alliance, and that's assuming the center opens on October 1. I talked with the representatives from Marathon, and they thought an October 1 open date was a little more realistic than September, so that's 9 months of operating cost as well as the cost to get it open after all those grants. So what we are adding from those three items, the activity court, the health center, and the, what was the first thing? The additional stadium lights, that adds $755,000 use of fund balance for next year, bringing the total use of our fund balance to $1 million, it's at the very bottom of this slide, $1,566,000. So I just wanted to pause and talk about fund balance for a second because that question came up Monday night. What is our fund balance policy? Our fund balance policy is that we would target somewhere between 5 and 17% of the next year's annual operating budget as our fund balance. So where are we? We started the year, this year, just under $8 million. Can never get this thing to work. As I mentioned to you the other night, I think we're going to be very close to break even with a slight addition to fund balance from this year's operations, leaving us just over $8 million on June 30th. We just talked about we would use up to $1,566,000 on those projects. And then that would leave us at the end of next year with about a $6.6 million fund balance, which is 8%, and it's in that 5 to 17% range.
And to clarify, we have, when you add the basketball, or the activities court, sorry, and the marathon various expenses, the total is $455,000, which we could potentially still be getting back. So
Absolutely.
that's sort of the worst case scenario if we use it all. But best case
Absolutely.
scenario, it's closer to $1 million.
Absolutely. Yep. So that means we would be changing our revenue to $81,526,000 from the proposed budget back in February of $86.1 million. So net changes of just over close to $4.6 million, basically. And then we're going to make those same cuts. We really haven't made very many changes from what we talked about Monday night. We're going to identify salaries and then first, and then cuts in other areas. We are adding 15 new positions, many of which are related to, were funded by the county council, many of which are related to the community schools, and then one that is not related to either of those, our athletic trainer, and that generated $1.8 million in savings. We're going to, after careful review in collaboration with school leadership and our leadership, and we determined we can eliminate 5 positions for next year, which results in close to $500,000 in savings. The one thing that's new on this slide when we talk about salaries and fixed charges changes is that employee health center. And again, 9 months of operations would cost us about $280,000, so that would be reflected in our fixed charges budget next year. Any questions?
I have a question. I know that we're not having summer school this year, the summer of 2025, and I was under the impression we were going to be further discussing summer school of 2026. And it looks like we still have a scaled back summer school up there. Can you expand upon what that is determined to be?
That's a typo. That should say 2025. I do apologize. It's in fiscal year 2026, but I am speaking about this summer. I did not even notice that. Thank you. Yep. All of these are things we talked about the other night, things that we'd like to prepay, a slight savings in Maryland State Retirement where we get a year off from paying an administrative fee, better than expected renewal rates for Care First, prepaying some benefits, and the cost of our package that we did sign with our unions did exceed what was originally in the budget. So those netted to $312,000 in savings. In administration from a various number of areas across admin, HR, the superintendent's office, finance, and communications, we saved $29,000. Under materials of instruction, we, made some slight tweaks to those various materials, savings $20,000. Under other instructional cost, the big story here is that we are prepaying our devices for next year and our software contracts for next year. We also did identify some savings of about $220,000 in our software and hardware contracts. We did find a grant that could pick up a cost related to career counseling. We did scale back the tutoring. Over the, I think yesterday, we provided some information to the board about tutoring and how tutoring fits in with the certified teachers we have in our school that are specializing in reading and math instruction. sort of as our tier 1 interventions, and then tutoring being our tier 2. So I hope that that demonstrated to the board, but we can certainly talk about if you're comfortable with this cutback, but we would be adding actually to our tutoring revenue next year, even with this cutback. And then various other, there's a lot of things that go into other instructional cost. There are a lot of things we purchase, and there's quite a few things that add up to $87,000. Special education, our savings there is primarily exclusively from the non-public tuition decrease that we're expecting based on a reduced number of students we expect to be enrolled next year. Slight decrease in what the Midshore Education Consortium is going to bill us, and we were able to prepay some materials of instruction. Summer school nurses, we were able to cut back on those by $5,000 due to cutback in programming. Transportation, we're able to have significant savings here, mainly by prepaying some of our bus leases that would be due early next year this month. Also scale back on or elimination of dual enrollment transportation. I don't think we have anything left because we don't need specific funds for that. We haven't been utilizing that. Plant ops, we have both some prepayments of about $26,000 we want to make, and then cost savings with the new Centegix school safety equipment and monitoring, as well as eliminating the comprehensive facilities review and scaling back with some IT training. Capital outlay, so the new item here is that Easton Elementary Activity Court of $175,000, and I mentioned the other night that $300,000 additional cost to get those Easton High auditorium lights replaced in that project. So in the red box is what our budget would look like with these adjustments made. It changes from just to the left of the box. You approved a budget in February of $86.1 million. This budget is $81.5 million, which is a cutback of $4,578,000. It is, if you look just to the right of the red box, an increase over the FY25 budget of $4.4 million. So it is an increase, but just not as big an increase as we had originally anticipated. Then I just wanted to talk, because we haven't talked since February, about our grants. We did take the opportunity over the last couple days to look at a few of our grants because we know a little bit more. We've gotten some answers back on some of the renewable type grants. So we did update some numbers in the back of the budget book. And what we're seeing is not significantly different from what we presented back in February. If we take our unrestricted budget, which is what we've spend all of our time talking about, the $81.5 million, and then you add to it the money that we get from grants like Title grants and Judy Center grants and grants from the Education Foundation, we're expecting $9.8 million in grants next year, and that would get us to an overall operating budget for the school system of $91.4 million. The thing to just notice and know about grants is we overall are losing about $1 million in grants. A lot could some could change if we get some of the COVID grants back. And the FY25 grant budget, while we're seeing a decrease, there were some one-time things in there, such as the health center, such as a bus purchase, such as, I say 2 activity courts because we did successfully install one turf field type activity court. I don't mean to confuse you when I say turf field, but it is an artificial turf type surface at Easton Elementary School. There's a soccer field there now, and we did successfully install that. So those were some big one-time things. They aren't recurring, salary type things that were in the budget. So I just point that out because it's not as hard to recover over the loss of something like that, it's a little easier. FY '26 capital, the difference in the schedule from Monday night is that I've added in the activity court toward the bottom. This is too small to read, but I did want to just include it in our budget book. I did want you to see, there was a question the other night about what is the next school to be replaced? And if you look all the way, I didn't do that. Thank you. If you look all the way in the right-hand column, you see $150,000 in 2031. That is when we would start the ed specs and feasibility study for the Easton High School project. So that's like the very first phase of planning out what that project could look like. So hopefully that helps you with that timeline in your minds. That's it. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
You need a vote from us, correct?
I do. Maybe it could be phrased addressing the general fund restricted, well, unrestricted and restricted budget as well as the capital budget.
I make a motion that we approve the FY '26 unrestricted, restricted, and capital budget as presented this evening by Mrs. Jones.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much, and there you have it. All right, next up, we have a personnel report with Dr. Horsey.
Good evening. I would like to recommend the board approve the personnel report as presented in closed session with one adjusted amendment. It was I should say a correction.
I make a motion that we approve the personnel report as presented in closed session and the legal report as presented and amended in closed session by Dr. Horsey.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're up to our monthly budget report with Mrs. Jones.
This is really anticlimactic after, because we really kind of covered this Monday night. I'll just call your attention to the fact that overall, we anticipate coming in under revenue by about $440,000, again, due to that non-public tuition reimbursement that we don't anticipate receiving. And then from an expenditure standpoint, we expect to come in with savings of about $623,000. This is before we processed our FY '25 amendment, and I guess that should have been the first thing I announced to everyone tonight. I think most of you know, but I'll just formally say for the record that the County Council did approve the amendments you made to the FY '25 budget at the Monday night work session. So I will be updating the FY '25 budget information when I give my final June report. It'll reflect the updated category spends. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have our superintendent's report. Take it away, Dr. Pepikai.
So there has been a lot of activities happening since we were last here. And it's that time. So we had no idea Ms. Jefferson was going to be here for doing public comment, but we added just an update of Jovi at Easton Elementary School with the students. So she had emailed me with an update of how things were going and included some pictures. So There you have it, Jovi with the students. A thank you to the TCPS Education Foundation. As you might remember, during Teacher Appreciation and Instructional Assistant Appreciation Month, they gave $100 gift cards to a lucky winner at every school. And so you could see the smiles that they did receive that gift of resources. This is, yesterday I just happened to be at Easton Elementary School, and they were having their 5th grade graduation ceremony. And the granddaughter of Mr. Dobson, and that's a typo there, it's Dobson with a B, who lives in another state. I think she lives in Michigan. But she awarded a student, a 5th grade student, and has been doing this for a few years now. She stood up and she talked about her grandfather, who was previous principal there, talked about the qualities that he had, and then gave a little plaque to a student in the 5th grade class in recognition of her grandfather, Mr. Dobson. So we added that, and she has been doing that and coming over and thought it was very important for the students to know who he was, since it's a big picture. You could see that in the school, and gives that each year. And you could see the student that awarded that is there, the different students. The retirement reception was held on June 3rd, and those are the staff members that we gave. Senator was here, Senator Mouts was here, who gave recognition to and certificates. And it was a very nice evening of celebrating our retirees here in the district, and we wish them all well. This is our Transforming and Performing Award, something that started a few years ago, where any staff member can recommend an award for a peer of recognizing someone who is transforming and performing in their area. And those are just pictures where we go around, they get a t-shirt, a certificate, and we make a big deal of them. And then on the right side, there's an award, the Peter Wood Special Education. It was awarded to Gina Pierce, a staff member, Miss Susie Firth, gives this in conjunction with the Talbot County Education Foundation, gives this to a member who goes above and beyond. And so Gina Pierce was awarded for what she does in transportation and making sure everything runs smoothly with the routes. But she just really gave her a lot of praise for what she has done. Wanted to include just some updated pictures of the renovations taking place at Chapel. The staff was able to walk through to see some of these spaces. We will be having a tour with the board members. We'll be coordinating a date so that we can also go through and see, but we wanted the public to also see what has been taking place out there at Chapel. And graduations took place since we were last here, both at Easton High School. Very nice ceremonies at both schools, Easton High School and then St. Michael's High School. So we wish all of those graduates well as they move on to their next chapter. Summer meals for students, information has gone out, and so it's here as well for meal packets when they will be available. And then also new is the transportation opt-in. Again, information has been sent out from the transportation department about that. And then starting next month in July, we will have times of change for our board meetings. So we'll now open at 5:30 and then coming in at 7 for after we go back into close, and then coming back out at 7 for the regular board meeting. And all of the dates are posted there. Upcoming events. Tomorrow and Friday are both half days. Early dismissal for students. Friday is the last day of the school year. I have been around in the buildings, and it's so nice seeing all the celebrations. I was in a pre-K room where the teacher wrote a grant from the Talbot County Foundation, Education Foundation, and was awarded an opportunity for all the pre-K students to write a book and be authors, and they each were able to compile the book, and every student got to take a book home. So I was there for that. Again, fifth grade graduation, the ceremonies at the middle school. I swung through the eighth grade awards ceremony, but just all of the celebrations that are happening throughout the schools. It's a great time of year to see that. So wishing everyone a happy and safe summer break.
Thank you so much. All right, and we will conclude with board member remarks, and I'll start down here with Mrs. O'Connor.
I just want to thank Jovi for coming. I think that is a great program, and I know when my children were at Easton Elementary, there was a service. Who was it? Rosie. Yeah, I don't remember the name. Was it? Maybe, but I think it's something small, not so small. You do a lot of work with the dog, but easy and great for these kids that really need it. And I think it's very helpful. So thank you. Thank you for the budget. Thank you for Dr. Horsey for all the personnel. It's a lot of work that's going into that. And I hope everyone has a great summer. I know we've got a lot of work with the vision statement, the strategic plan. So thank you for all of that. And that's it.
Ms. Bridges?
I would like to start by thanking our county council for funding us and hearing all the awful things that are going on around the state. We are so blessed in this county. Thank you to Dr. Horsey and your team for the negotiations. Thank you, Sarah, for the budget. That was a big lift to cut all that money, but you made it seamless, and you did it without losing any jobs, and I really appreciate that so much. Also would like to give a shout out to our shooting team. They are amazing kids. They are doing well academically as well as shooting. They beat the last team by 102 points. That's huge in the shooting world. And to see their grades up, their spirit is incredible, and I just want to thank everyone here for that, allowing that to happen. A wonderful summer.
Thank you. Ms. Strawberry?
So everything that was already said, I'm going to echo that without repeating it again. And also recognizing those who receive awards tonight. Also want to acknowledge that as well. Thank you for public comment, and also want to make sure that we encourage our public to come out to make comment, because that really does make a difference, and it gives us an opportunity to hear from a different lens. So thank you so much.
Ms. Dodson?
I also wanted to thank Barb for bringing Jovi out and speaking about this program. I think it's a very worthwhile program. I hope we are able to keep and expand upon it. I also want to express the joy of participating in graduation. You can't help but be thrilled to be in that room because everybody in that room is thrilled, and after all, that's what we're all about, right? I also this week had the opportunity to participate in fifth grade promotion, which was fantastic, and I know other board members participated in middle school as well, and I love that these kids get that recognition.
Ms. Whelan-Cherry?
So my best professional terms, I'm going to say ditto. And with that in mind, Mr. Dobson was my principal at Glenwood back in the day. I remember him very, very well, and didn't realize he was the first African-American principal. Had no idea. And then also tomorrow is the First Responders Day. So hopefully if you guys are not busy, come down, or it's around the library around noon. But if students are out of school at that point, and want to come down, I'd love to encourage them to come down. It'll have police, fire trucks, great big flag. It's a beautiful short ceremony, and Blue Point Hospitality puts that on, so we can't thank them enough for their support.
Ms. Jarius?
Well, echoing what everyone else has said, thank you so much to Dr. Horsey and your team, as well as the TCA reps, and working through all of the negotiations. I love it when I hear the word collaboration. You know, that is what we've had as well with our county council through this budget process. So very much appreciate that, as well as all of the work that Mrs. Jones has done to juggle the challenges that we've had throughout this year of not always knowing what funds were coming our way and still working with some uncertainty, but handling all of that so competently. Very much appreciated. Thank you to Dr. Pepakaya for the continuing work on the strategic plan. I really commend how much engagement there has been from various groups, and I think that will be a wonderful foundation for us going forward. And congratulations to all the graduates. It was so heartwarming to see both Easton High School and Easton Middle School, and St. Michael's High School. Yes, so much joy in that room, and wonderful to see all that they have accomplished, as well as all of the younger graduates as well. So it's just a joyful time, and wish everyone a happy summer.
Thank you, everybody. I too would like to thank Jovi for coming out. My little guy, got to spend some time with him when he was in P3, so it's fun to see Jovi here. And I'll share a picture of Miles and Jovi with everybody because I like to do that. I'm just going to say ditto to everything that was said here because they all said it far better than I could. I opened this year on opening day telling our staff to something that has resonated with me over the years. It was said to me when I was studying abroad. It was hold hands, look both ways, and come home to us safely. And I think that everybody accomplished that this year. You all came home to us safely. We're all very proud of you for the work that you have done. Students, staff, teachers, everybody. You can see the joy in graduations, top to bottom, and everything that we have accomplished this year. We are all incredibly proud of you. Everybody have a safe, restful, amazing summer. Come back to us safely again in the fall, and we can't wait to see you in August. And with that, I would like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.